Introduced to the stage, Slate Nations.
Thank you, Tricia. I will share my screen, show you guys the amazing PowerPoint that Scott provided. Here it should be. Okay, let me know if you guys can't see that. And as you can see, our theme today on the right will be Seinfeld. So if you guys are familiar with that, you will love all these questions. And just one moment, pull up the chat in case I need that. And I will now explain how the table topics section works. So as you can see, this is our second portion of our Toastmasters meeting here at UGA Toastmasters. Table topics are the opportunity where everyone gets to participate, anywhere from guests to very seasoned Toastmasters. And it is a simple 1 to 2 minute speech that is impromptu. So you'll be given a prompt today and you'll just answer it to the best of your ability. The ideal goal is to make it a mini speech, but at the very least, especially if you're new, just want to practice your speaking skills and impromptu skills and try and hit that 1 minute mark. And we will be voting for best and second best table topic speaker, so keep that in mind. You want to get really creative or funny with your ideas, and to be eligible, you need to be within the 1 to 2 minute time frame, and you can be a little bit under, a little bit over. All right, and I think that was all. Give me just one moment, make sure I got everything here. Is it still showing my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can still see your PowerPoint. It's just on the title slide. I don't know if you need to navigate to like the bottom bar. I don't know if this is either a PowerPoint or a Google PowerPoint, or if you want to try.
If you guys have any
sharing and resharing.
If you guys have any questions, just let me know. There we go. All right, so it should be on the second slide now. This is a very, I think, famous sort of episode and theme. It says, "Happy Festivus. Got a lot of problems with you, and now you're going to hear about it." So the prompt for you is, if you could create a new holiday, what would it be? And again, anyone can volunteer to answer, and if no one volunteers, within about 10 to 15 seconds, I'll go and pick on someone. And you can go ahead and just speak up if you want to volunteer. It's sometimes can't see everyone's screen if you try to visually indicate.
I'll do one.
Okay, Justin, go for it.
Because I'm egotistical, I am not going to pick a day, but a month. We have all kinds of like months and things like that, like Black History Month. We have, that might be it. But there are other months, I think. And I think we should have a Disability Awareness Month. And maybe this exists, but it is not a national thing like Black History Month is. And I think it should be. I think many people go through school, elementary, middle, high school, never learning about disabilities, never learning about why and how things happen and why, what we've contributed to the world and how people should interact with us and different things like that. So I think that Disability Awareness Month would help people avoid mistakes like Sia's upcoming movie. And with that, back to you, Slate.
Thank you, Justin. I actually like how you took that. Kind of took a very personal touch, as well as the approach applied to an entire month. Holiday doesn't necessarily have to be one day. For our next one, we have Newman here saying, "I called in sick. I don't work in the ring." So name a time where you tried to get out of something, doing something you didn't want to do.
I could give this one a shot.
Go for it, Tricia.
So I'm home right now. I came back home from Athens like Friday. And every time I come back home, I'm always with my parents, particularly with my mom. Now, she has a lot of keys or lessons in life. And I remember one particular time in high school. The whole family was in the living room. We were just sitting, talking. It was after dinner. And my mom was sitting on the couch, my brother was sitting on a couch next to the lamp, and I was sitting on a bean bag. And so my mom was trying to get across the lesson of doing things yourself kind of thing. And her example is, okay, what's the easiest way to turn off the lamp? And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the easiest way is ask the person who's sitting next to the lamp to turn it off. But my mom kept asking it. My brother, I wasn't sure if he was trying to act like he didn't know the answer, even though he knew he did. He's trying to make guesses of like, oh, you can like, I don't know, like throw a lasso and pull it down somehow. And I eventually answered, even though it wasn't something that I wanted to, because I knew there was like an end purpose, some kind of life lesson that there was. So all I wanted to do was just enjoy a nice evening, maybe take a sip of some nice cold lemonade for the evening. But that was a time that I tried to get out of something, which in this case was not having to, I don't know, interact with my family, wasn't feeling it at the time, but still ended up doing it because I know it was that final push. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tricia. I think we can all relate to a time like that where there's something, I'm sure you can look back on. It seems rather small, but there's a lot of things you try getting out of, sometimes rather creatively like that, or another way. For our next one, we have Seinfeld here, I believe, saying, and you want to be a latex salesman. And so, would you make up a company such as George Constanza's Benedict, I think I said that wrong, Latex Industries? What would it be? So again, would you make up a company, sort of a imaginary company, and give a little sort of context? I think it's to kind of, would you make up something to impress someone or get a job, something along those lines, if you need any ideas. Feel free, any of the guests or anyone else to volunteer. Go ahead and pick someone about 5 seconds. All right, Noah. You want to go ahead and take this one?
Okay, let's see. A company. Okay, I'll take this one. So there's this new job that I really want to get. I've always wanted to become a professional golfer, but in order to get the certification as a professional golfer where I can teach on a professional level, I need to have some experience in teaching people. Now, I can't really get that experience in teaching people unless I am a part of a golf club, and that golf club has to be willing to hire me. So I look for golf clubs. No golf clubs hire me. So instead, I create my own little teaching school. In this teaching school, I put out my advertisements. I look for a few beginner golfers who are willing to learn from anyone, just tips and tricks. And before you know it, I end up teaching 5, 10, 15 golfers per week. Before you know it, I get 20 golfers per week. I'm starting to get advanced golfers. And before you know it, my golf school is open. Now that my golf school is opening, I now have experience under my belt and I'm able to get my professional license. Thank you so much.
Awesome type of topic, Noah. I like how positively yours went, unlike George's here. As you can see, he ended up on the floor from his actions. So I look forward to seeing your company. Here we have George again. He's saying, "It's not a lie if you believe it. When was a time you told a little lie and you thought you would get away with it?" And please don't, do anything too revealing, of course. Just, it's like a time. When did you tell a white lie?
I can do this one.
Okay, Courtney.
So when I was a kid, I definitely was kind of a liar. I thought that I could tell people things to make them like me that weren't true, and that I would make lots of friends and be really popular. And one white lie that I told when I was a kid was that I was adopted by like Native Americans. I think one of my parents was like a NFL football player, something along those lines. And I told this lie a lot, like on the playground, and everybody kind of just was like, started repeating it and saying this lie over and over again. And eventually it did get back to my parents, and they were not happy to hear that I was telling all the kids at school that I was adopted. And I got in a lot of trouble, and they all kind of called me a liar for a while. It was really bad. It was horrible. It was one of those situations where it was a really horrible experience, but it did kind of shape me a little bit. I did kind of stop lying after that, because it was a little bit traumatic to be labeled that way by everybody in your class. So that's my little white lie, you guys.
Thank you for that story, Courtney. I think that was definitely started as a little lie and it's kind of became a big one with how they remembered you as a liar and whatnot. Thank you for sharing that. Here we go. I think this is our fifth one. I have a total of 10 questions here provided by Scott. If I didn't already mention, these are Scott's questions. He provided these, but was unfortunately not able to give his presentation. So hopefully we'll give this one in the future. We have Elaine and Seinfeld here. I will never understand people. They're the worst. So when do you feel that you are not able to understand a person?
Slate, I will take that one.
Go ahead, Joanna.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, when do I feel that I'm not able to understand a person? There's a story behind this. There was a young lady that I worked with for a few years, and I, at the time, didn't realize how needy she was. And I don't think it was something that she realized, but I was late in the game in recognizing it. It was almost like the more I spoke to her, the more I tried to help her talk through issues and talk through what she called problems. I call them challenges. The more she digressed, I got to a point where I was going, wait a minute, we just had this conversation a week ago. What happened? And we would progress to another 2 weeks and the same issue would come up again. A minute, hold up. We just had this conversation. Let's sit down and talk about this all over again. But it was a repetition of repeated issues that we had talked about. And I finally got to the point where I said, I think I need to just throw my hands up, take my hands off of it, because I didn't understand what she needed. And to this day, I still don't think that I understand what she needed. I think it was more of her neediness and not being able to express what she needed very well so that anybody could help her. But I was so overwhelmed, and I almost thought it was me not being able to provide her with what she needed. but I just didn't understand. And like I said, finally, I just said, forget it, throw my hands up and leave it alone. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that, Joanne. I think we'll all relate to that someday. We haven't already, a situation like that of conflict and just not understanding how something like that can happen. And there are different ways to deal with it, and that's definitely one of them. And so thank you for that story. All right, here we have everybody in the room. Looks like it says, my whole life's been a complete waste of time. There's so much more to go. So the question is, when do you feel that you have wasted a lot of your time? And what do you do to manage your time better? You could answer either or both of those. And Raj, would you like to try this one?
Sure, I can go for it. So honestly, like anytime like I don't see growth, I feel like I'm wasting time because like I'm not seeing any progress. But like managing my time better, like I can like use a schedule or like a calendar to plan out my days to like reach my goals and stuff like that.
What are some other things you've wasted time on?
Honestly, like just like watching like TV shows and like just like binge watching Netflix and like YouTube videos and stuff like that. And that's about it.
All right. Thank you for that, Raj. Thanks for sharing. I definitely I see, especially what you said in the beginning about, you know, when you don't see progress, when you said growth, I believe you said. And I think I've said this probably every other meeting about how I always give everybody the advice, try and limit yourself from phone time, put the phone down, you know. So I'm sure everyone that's been a Toastmasters here is sick of me saying that, but so believe me, time can be wasted and it can be spent better. So I think that's a great tabletop to think about. Here's our next question. We have Kramer and Seinfeld here, and he says, the amazing thing is you never have any place to go. And the question would be, when was a time you felt you had nowhere to go or nothing to do? And I think I could answer this, a period of about probably going on 10 months now, but I'm going to let someone else answer this one. Is it, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, is it Gang? How do you pronounce your name? Our other guest. Would you like to take a stab at this one? Try it out. It's like last name Lee. If you don't want to, that's fine. While we're waiting for if Lee wants to try it, does anyone else want to take this one?
I can try this one.
Okay, go for it, Tricia.
All right, so like Slate mentioned, the obvious one is what has been happening for the past 10 years and staying in quarantine and being in our homes. But actually, I have another example that actually where I felt like I had nowhere to go, nothing to do, and that was the summer after my freshman year. And so I had the opportunity to become a conference host for university housing, which is essentially the summer equivalent of an RA. So usually there's like a ton of camps, whether there's sports camps, music camps, academic camps, all of the sort. And in my role and responsibility is to really just make sure the building stays okay, respond to any emergency calls. And the sweet part of the deal was that I was able to stay in 1516 for free. So they covered my housing for the summer. So not only was I getting paid, housing was covered, and I got to stay in Athens. Now, the only tricky thing is I don't have my own car. So literally the entire summer, I was just within Athens, within walking distance of wherever I could go. And so, you know, sometimes I'd make the trip, go from the IM field to make my walk all the way to North Campus just to, you know, get the brain flowing, enjoy the outdoors. But it was definitely tricky. And I think even harder part of it. So in 15-16, we were a team of 4, and then we went down to a team of 3 about halfway through the summer. And so for duty calls, there has to be 2 people on duty every night. So if you're divvying it up against 3 people, you're pretty much on duty for 4 to 5 nights out of the entire week. So it definitely became a little bit tiresome. Just staying within 15-16 and having that big black phone on you, just kind of like keeping track of everything. So I felt like I had nowhere to go, but at the same time, I felt like I did because I got to explore campus a lot more than I would have in a regular school year. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tricia. I can see how you could feel trapped or nowhere to go in that situation, being on duty, like you said. I like you didn't take it the route that I would have taken it and complained about current circumstances. So thank you for that story. And getting paid for what you do and staying in a nice place is always good, but it comes with those responsibilities, of course. So I'm glad to experience that. And we should have 2 more. So if you want to go twice, everyone has gone once. We have, again, Seinfeld and George here saying, all right, that's enough. I got to go home and take a nap. 10:30 in the morning. What can I tell you? I'm white. So when was a time that you wanted to get things done, but you put it off till the next day?
I can take this one.
Go for it now.
So this is the usual me. Usually when there's work to be done, I put it off and I do it to the next day because honestly, there's better things to be doing with my time right now. And I realized that is very problematic because I started to notice that I would forget to do those things that I put off. And so let's say, for example, I had a participation activity to turn in and it was due at 11 a.m. tomorrow. I would say, oh, let's just wait till tomorrow to do that. And before you know it, it's 12 o'clock, it's 12 noon tomorrow. And I'm like, dang, I forgot to do that. And so I've learned to not put stuff off to the next day. When I think about it and when it comes to mind and I'm able to do it, I have a computer in front of me, I do it right then and there. If I don't, there's a high chance that I will forget to do it if it's a timed assignment. Now, if it's something like maybe going to the gym where I have access to a 24-hour gym, or if it's, I don't know, doing something like running or something, that is kind of okay because there's no like certain time limit on it. But as far as assignments, I think it is the worst to put assignments off to the next day. Thank you. That's fine.
All right, thank you, Noah. That's some great advice. And as always, procrastination can be the hardest thing to overcome, especially like you mentioned, participation, for example. That could be something so small, but we still tend to put it off, and it becomes bigger and bigger. So, wonderful advice. Just get it done. All right, I think this is the last one. We got Uncle Leo here saying, "You still say hello," and like Uncle Leo, when was a time that someone ignored you and you wanted them to say hello? And if you don't have a particular real life scenario that this happened, you could make one up, of course. Get creative.
I can take this one.
All right, go ahead, Justin.
I'm going to take this in the reverse direction because I'm a horrible person and say times that I've ignored people, I feel really bad. I have these 2 conflicting parts of me. The one part that is not really interested in talking to people, and the other part that wants to love everybody. And they just go to war with each other. So the issue I tend to have is when people are draining, and some people consume more of my energy than others. And sometimes it just gets to a point that like they keep sending me messages and I just keep not responding or something. If they come by and actually say hello, I'm not gonna ignore them then because that's pretty rude and I don't want to do that. But I am like not going to engage in a conversation that much But I think the online stuff is worse because it's just like they're wondering, like, "Are you busy?" And then I'm like, I got so much going on. I literally just read a book all day. I haven't done anything at all, and I don't like the fact that I'm lying to them. And I don't like the fact that I can't tell them something or tell them to go away in a nice way, because I feel like prolonging it is worse than them not knowing I don't want to talk to them. So, and maybe I have been on the other side of it and I just can't think of it at the moment, but it's just, I need to do something about this. And it hasn't happened in a long time. So this really just made me think of it for the first time. And I don't know, just pray that God prepares me for the next time it happens. And with that, back to you, Slate.
Thank you for that, Justin. We actually do have one more question, but that was definitely I actually like how you took that again. You took it on the flip side because that was hard to find a good example of that possibly. Something definitely that resonated when you said with that just came to mind is you are who you hang out with. So that's kind of what I got from that. You sort of went on talking about not want to cut people off per se or be rude, but it just really came to mind sort of the phrase that I've heard. You are who you become who you hang around with, essentially. So that means if you hang out with successful Toastmasters, you become a successful Toastmaster. And of course, it works the other way around. If you hang out with people you don't want to be, you'll only get negative consequences. So for our last one here, it says, "Trust me, Kramer, given the legal opportunity, I will kill you." And that is a quote by Seinfeld there. If you watch the show, you'll probably understand why Seinfeld feels that way. And the question is, name a time when you were annoyed with a person. How did you deal with it?
I can take this one.
Okay, Courtney.
So this is about to be a little bit of a therapy session for you guys because I have a neighbor recently who keeps coming by my apartment and keeps knocking on the door and keeps coming in and keeps playing with my dog. And while it's adorable, it is unannounced and it is very frustrating. So I have not dealt with it quite yet, but I'm thinking that the solution that I should use is to politely inform this person that they will have to inform me before they come to my apartment, because there has been ample times where I've been in class or I've been taking a final, and now we have those lockdown systems where you're not supposed to get up. They're watching you, and so it puts me in horrible situations, and my dog just goes crazy because she never gets to see anybody. So she's so happy to have a friend that's coming by, but it's really difficult, and I'm trying to deal with it. But yes, it's very annoying, and I've never had anything like this happen before. Usually my neighbors are pretty to themselves, and I am to myself as well. So I will keep you guys updated on how that goes.
All right, thanks for sharing. That definitely fits the bill. Quite an annoying person. I like how, since you haven't dealt with it, you explained how you plan to. That was a good way. Okay, and that will be the end of our questions. Let me just make sure. Yep. Okay. So now we are able to vote. So we have if you look in the chat, you have the table topic speaker as well as their table topic listed. And you will now send your votes to Noah, our Sergeant at Arms. So the way to do that is change it where it says to Noah, and send your first and second person. And just list the person once if they spoke more than once. And before you do that, also, Noah, was everybody in time?
I guess everyone was in time.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, Justin is the timer. So everyone was in time. So that means everyone's eligible. Everyone met either the 1 minute minimum, stayed under 2 minutes, or was within the grace period. with that again, you just go to the chat, click 2, know us, or send it to him alone, and then just send your first and second choice. That'll be that. So we're going to take another quick 15, 20 seconds to do that.
And while we're taking that break, can you check on Joanne if she's okay? She is our GE for this evening. And while we are waiting for votes to trickle in, I'll go ahead and do some ad-libbing here. So that officially concludes. Is it all right, Slade, if I go ahead and take the stage?
I can go ahead and officially end it. Give me just one more second. So thank you guys for your time. It's letting me be table topic master and fill in for Scott. Again, wonderful questions. He absolutely kills it with these table topic themes. I always love. He tends to go with movie or show quotes, and this Seinfeld one was no exception, and I do not think I did it justice in the slightest. It is a show vaunted for its just hilarity, and I think you'd really have to watch it yourself to. It used to be very, very popular. I think it still is popular, and so go watch it for yourself. And thank you everybody for participating. And that will conclude my time as Table Talk Master. I'll now pass it back to our Toastmaster, Tricia.
Thank you, Slate. And before we transition into the third and final section, if you have any feedback for Slate as a Table Topics Master, or any feedback for Scott in the way that he presented and prepared the slides, if it's to Scott specifically, you can go ahead and send it to me, and I can go ahead and pass that feedback to him. But if you have any specific feedback for how Slate led the section, feel free to do so now. And we'll go ahead and give an extra 15-20 seconds if you'd like to go ahead and give that feedback. But yeah, I've definitely heard a lot about Seinfeld. I've heard it described as like the show about nothing. So that's why like all the questions are like putting things off, or like what do you hypothetically. I very much liked how people approached it, and yeah, definitely like that time waster one that really got me to the point where like earlier in the semester I had to just completely redesign how like on my phone how all like the apps are organized and everything, just to like one, declutter, and two, just find ways to just sneakily hide things so that I wouldn't be tempted to get to it. So that might be something to explore, think about before we approach finals week and even the spring semester. But with that, we will go ahead and transition, into the third and final section of our meeting. And leading that section is our general evaluator for today, Joanne Sheets, and she will go ahead and explain how the whole section will run. That's Joanne, you can go ahead and take the stage.